It happens quietly, not in thunder nor in fire, but in the still, trembling breath of a soul. While the world sleeps, heaven decides. No trumpet, no sign, no angels shout, and yet, destinies shift. The unseen line between light and shadow moves, and few even notice. Some call it conscience, others call it fate, but Scripture calls it judgment, the hidden separation that begins not at the end of time, but within the human heart. Long before nations fall or kingdoms crumble, heaven weighs something far more delicate: the intentions of men. There are moments when God does not wait for history to catch up. He moves quietly through it, drawing a line the eyes cannot see. And perhaps, right now, that line is being drawn again. In the days of Noah, humanity had no idea that heaven had already decided. The rain was not yet falling. The sky was still clear. People married, built, celebrated, laughed. Life went on until one morning the first drop fell. But by then, the choice had already been made. The door to the ark was sealed, not by Noah's hand, but by God's. That is the unseen moment of divine decision, the instant heaven separates what must endure from what must pass away. And the question that trembles through eternity is this: how close are we to that unseen moment again? Throughout Scripture, there are whispers of this divine threshold, moments where heaven moved long before man understood. When Saul was anointed, heaven decided to raise a king. When Saul's heart grew proud, heaven decided to remove him. But the people still saw a crown on his head, unaware that the throne had already shifted in God's eyes. That is how heaven works. Its judgments are invisible until they are undeniable. By the time men see what heaven has done, it is already finished. And maybe that is why God tells us to stay awake. Centuries later, Jesus stood on a quiet hillside overlooking Jerusalem. The city glittered in the sun, unaware of the shadow growing in heaven's sight. His voice broke with sorrow as he said, "If you had only known, even you, what would bring you peace, but now it is hidden from your eyes." The separation had already begun. The temple still stood. The priests still offered sacrifice. But heaven had already shifted its presence from stone to spirit, from ritual to redemption. Human eyes saw religion continuing. Heaven saw it ending. And today, that same quiet shift moves again, in churches, in hearts, in nations. Heaven is making decisions long before history records them. But how does heaven decide? It is not by numbers, not by power, not by fame. Heaven decides by faith, by the hidden alignment of the heart. When Abraham left everything familiar, heaven marked him as chosen. When Lot hesitated, heaven marked him as spared, but shaken. When his wife looked back, heaven marked her decision. And she became the monument of a divided heart. Every story carries the same pattern. Before the visible judgment, there is a hidden one. Before the world sees the outcome, heaven already knows the verdict. And perhaps that verdict is being written even now, in the silence between our choices. We live in an age of noise, opinions, arguments, endless motion. But heaven does not decide in chaos. It decides in stillness. The world celebrates talent. Heaven looks for obedience. The world measures strength. Heaven measures surrender. The world rewards visibility. Heaven rewards faithfulness in secret. Some of the most powerful moments of heaven's decision happen when no one is watching. A prayer whispered through tears, a temptation quietly resisted, an act of kindness never seen. That is where heaven separates the wheat from the weeds, the gold from the dust. There's a chilling truth about divine judgment. It rarely begins when we think it does. For the people of Sodom, life was still ordinary when the angels arrived. For Pharaoh, Egypt was still strong when the first plague struck. For Israel, the temple still stood when Babylon was already marching. Heaven does not announce its verdict with banners. It simply withdraws its favor. A door closes. A heart hardens. A light dims. And the world calls it coincidence. But heaven calls it consequence. And yet, amid all this, God's mercy remains astounding. Even as judgment draws near, He still whispers to the hearts that will listen, "Come out from among them. Be still and know that I am God." Choose this day whom you will serve. Heaven's separation is not just about wrath. It's about rescue. Before the flood came, God built an ark. Before judgment fell on Egypt, he marked the doors with blood. Before the end of the age, he marks hearts with faith. Heaven separates to save. But here is the mystery. Sometimes, heaven's decision is not about nations or generations, but about one soul. The moment a person says, "Yes, Lord, I surrender," heaven shifts everything. The battle over that soul ends. The record in eternity changes. In that quiet, invisible instant, heaven decides, "This one is mine." And the angels rejoice not because the world noticed, but because heaven did. Still, there are others who stand at the edge of that decision, who hear God's whisper but hesitate. They sense the separation drawing near, but cling to what they cannot keep. It's like standing at the threshold of Noah's Ark while the sky begins to dim. The door is still open, but not for long. Maybe that's why Jesus said, "Two will be in the field, one will be taken, and the other left," not because God is cruel, and because heaven sees what the heart hides. And that is the unseen moment we all live in, the space between grace offered and grace withdrawn. Heaven's decisions are rarely loud, but they are always final. A generation rises, another fades. A voice speaks, and another falls silent. And in all of it, the divine order continues, separating light from darkness, truth from illusion, faith from fear. We often think of judgment as a future event. But what if it is a present reality happening in hearts, families, and nations right now? Not as destruction, but as distinction. Not as punishment, but as purification. Heaven is not ending the story, it's refining it. So when heaven decides, it may not look like thunder or fire. It may look like a whisper that stirs your spirit in the quiet hours of the night. Because the true separation is not between people, but between what is of God and what is not. And maybe, just maybe, this very moment, as you listen, heaven is deciding again.